18 missiles stood watch underground here in Commerce Township, Michigan. We're about 28.5 miles north-northeast of downtown Detroit. This was part of our line of defense. If Soviet bombers somehow made it through our northern defenses, this being the 10th of the Nike bases built to defend the Motor City. Using aerial photography from 1960 to 1990, I can pinpoint that this was the exact location of the high-power radar, nearly 100 feet tall, looking much like Disney's World Epcot Center, only about a third the size. This radome actually provided long-range detection of targets with 3 other target-ranging radars on site to lock on and track the enemy using computer accuracy developed by Bell Telephone Laboratories.
Sites like this could be triggered by 63 radar sites from Alaska to Greenland, the DEW line. This was an effort to minimize the threat of Soviet bombers and eventually missiles in the 1960s.
Nike Hercules, in more than 500 test and training firings, has demonstrated an amazing ability to seek out and destroy various targets, from about 1,000 up to more than 150,000 feet in altitude. This intercept, altitude above 60,000 feet, target speed in excess of 1,500 miles per hour.
In addition to the missiles, supersonic fighters also augmented the defense. They were based on Lake St. Clair.
Typical of the high-caliber team selected for William Tell are these men from Selfridge Air Force Base, Michigan. They fly the F-106 Delta Dart, one of the mainstays of air defense. Lieutenant Colonel Dunaway is team captain. Captain Hal Klinger flies 4th slot and is team weapons officer. And Sergeant Bill Cummings, veteran crew chief, is chief airplane doctor.
The 71st Iron Man Interceptor Squadron guarded the Motor City for a decade starting in 1957. They won the William Tell competition in 1965, targeting drones with Falcon rockets.
Firepower loaded on the F-106 Delta Dart includes an advanced model of the Falcon missile and the Genie rocket. A product of Convair, this Delta Wing jet interceptor is equipped with data link for automatic control. Capable of speeds up to 1,500 miles per hour, the Delta Dart is the fastest, highest flying, most advanced all-weather interceptor in the air defense inventory.
High-flying Delta Darts were augmented with no less than 18 Nike Ajax and Hercules facilities. Underground magazines of missiles kept the installation size minimal, with each being divided up into a radar and barracks area, or integrated fire control, and the missile assembly area and launch site. The X-band beacon built into the missile tracking radar would transmit pitch and yaw direction to the Nike and detonate the warhead as it approached an enemy target. Nuclear capable, the Michigan Hercules only carried a high explosive warhead, but with an 87-mile range and a 150,000-foot ceiling, it could get close enough to detonate several bombers. Fueling a Nike required awkward, heavy rubber suits to protect the soldiers from the extremely toxic and flammable liquid propellant. Up to a dozen military policemen could be assigned to a Nike base, and German shepherds were trained to make sure there was no unauthorized access. This canine security is a bit ironic now 60 years later, as this part of Commerce's radar site will soon be fenced again as a dog park.
This launch area and the IFC were all mandated as a public park once the Army decommissioned D-87 in 1974. These 3 acres became Dodge No. 5 State Park, which was leased as an outdoor camp and later a drug rehab facility. At one time, it was even targeted for a new prison, and as late as 1993, the base was used as a barracks for troubled youth in a project called Camp Oakland. Vandals burned most of the property after the DNR ran out of money to keep it up, so the township bulldozed it. This is actually where the magazine section of the entire base was, and while the old IFC has been filled in and now has a parking lot for a dog park, here you can still find pieces of the base itself lying all over. And it's interesting, there's even depressions where maybe they filled in some of the old part of the base, but with paint on here, there's no doubt this was part of D87, the Nike base that was here at one time.
264 sites once populated the United States from Maine to Alaska, with the last fixed air defense missile facility closing in the Florida Everglades in 1979. Many of Detroit's sites are parks or industrial areas. If you ever want to see what these bases looked like during the Cold War, there's a fantastic museum near San Francisco, and also a well-preserved site at Sandy Hook, New Jersey. A Nike Hercules is also on display nearly a mile south of the old Riverview, Michigan site.